All right, let's talk about the keto diet. You know, the one everyone seems to be talking about. For years, we heard one thing: fat is bad. End of story. So how on earth did a diet that's all about fat get so huge? That's what we're going to break down right now. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the whole low-fat paradox. Then, we'll dive into your body's other fuel system. After that, a little history lesson on how keto's been used in medicine. And finally, we'll tackle the myths and facts to get you started. All right, let's jump right in with a huge puzzle in our recent history with food. And for one scientist, this puzzle wasn't just academic. It was personal. So that quote you're seeing, it's from Jacob Wilson, one of the authors we're drawing from today. And for him, that clinical list of diseases, that just wasn't his grandmother. She was so much more. And her death, which he felt was preventable, is what kicked off this whole scientific journey for him. And, his family's story really mirrors a massive puzzle for all of us. For decades, the message was drilled into our heads, right? Fat is the bad guy. But if that was the whole story, then why did we get fatter? I mean, look at these numbers. Back in the 80s, when the official low-fat guidelines came out, the obesity rate was about 15%. Fast forward a couple of decades, after our grocery stores were just flooded with low-fat everything, and that rate didn't just creep up, it exploded to over 35%. Something was seriously wrong with that advice. So what was going on? Well, it turns out fat wasn't the lone villain. When food companies took the fat out of products, what did they put back in to make it taste good? Sugar, lots of it. And that created this perfect storm, a combination of high fat and high carbs. It's the blueprint for most processed food today, and it's what completely overwhelms our metabolism. Okay, so if our main fuel system gets jammed up by that combo, what do? Is there another way? Well, yeah, there is. It turns out our bodies have this incredible built-in backup generator. And that backup system is called ketosis. Now, this isn't some trendy new diet hack. It's a completely natural metabolic state. Think of it like a hybrid car. When you run out of one fuel source, carbohydrates, your body is smart enough to switch to another, fat. And it does that by creating these little energy molecules called ketones. Here's a great way to picture it. Your body's carb storage, it's like a tiny fuel tank on a scooter. It holds maybe 2,000 calories, and you're constantly having to stop and fill it up. But your body fat, that's like having access to a giant underground fuel reserve, tens of thousands of calories just waiting. Ketosis is literally the key that unlocks the pump to that massive reserve. And just so we're clear, this is way more than just a diet for losing weight. To really get what's going on, we've got to look back at its pretty amazing history in medicine. Believe it or not, this idea is ancient. We're talking 5th century BC ancient, when doctors used fasting, which, by the way, puts you into ketosis, to treat seizures. Jump to the 1920s, and doctors were presenting to the American Medical Association about how fasting was curing epilepsy in kids. It really wasn't until the 70s with Dr. Atkins that the whole low-carb thing became famous for weight loss. And today, that medical interest is exploding. Scientists are looking at it for everything from helping manage type 2 diabetes to improving heart health, and even for its potential to protect the brain in conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. The big takeaway here is that this is a serious metabolic tool, not just a fad. Okay, with all that history in mind, let's get to the stuff that probably worries people the most. It's time to tackle the myths and get real about what to expect. All right, the big one. Is ketosis dangerous? This is probably the #1 question, and the fear comes from people confusing two totally different things. So in what's called nutritional ketosis, the kind you get from your diet, your ketone levels go up, but only a little bit. They stay in this perfectly safe and controlled range. And this slide is so important because this is where the confusion comes from. Nutritional ketosis is safe and natural. Diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA, is a life-threatening medical emergency. DK happens when you have an uncontrolled, runaway production of ketones plus sky-high blood sugar. It's something that primarily affects people with type 1 diabetes who don't have enough insulin. Let me say it again, they are not the same thing, not even close. And just to put a number on it, look at this. The ketone levels in DKA are off the charts. We're talking way more than 10 times higher than in nutritional ketosis. It's like comparing a garden hose to a fire hydrant. Completely different. So why does this all matter to you? Because understanding this difference is everything. It's what lets you cut through all the noise and the scary headlines and look at the actual science.
Okay, so if you're thinking about trying this, here are 3 really important tips from our source material for getting through that first week. First, electrolytes are your friend. As your body adjusts, you'll lose salt and potassium, and you need to put them back in to avoid feeling awful. Second, be ready for the keto flow. It's temporary, but a few days of feeling foggy or tired is pretty common. It passes. And third, and this is a big one, don't get obsessed with chasing super high ketone readings. As your body gets better at using ketones for fuel, your levels in the blood might actually go down, and that's a sign of success.
So there you have it. We've gone from a personal story to a massive public health puzzle, all the way from ancient physicians to modern-day labs. And it really leaves you with a fascinating question, doesn't it? Could this ancient metabolic switch, this backup generator we all have, actually hold some of the answers to our most modern health problems?